What is up, heroes? This is Midnight Zero, and welcome back to the NCPL Season 4. This week, we are in the championship, the finals, and we're going up against Manou, coach of the Fresno Flygons. You probably remember him from my last game of the regular season. Honestly, one of the best games I've had this entire season. One of the most fun, one of the most intense, one of the most high level. Highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Real quick, getting into his team. No changes since last time, so I'm not really going to dwell on it too much. Megalopony, great offensive physical threat. Deoxys speed, such a wild card. Skarmory, great defensive. Mon can really pivot. It's got reliable recovery. It's a bit of a stall breaker. Phases, hazards. Alolan Muck, a great trapping Mon, great knockoff user. Vaporeon, he likes to use as his heal bell user. Scald, wish passing. Victini, another bit of a wild card. Can run either really great physical or special sides. Thundurus, really scary. When it sets up, it is super strong. Primarina is a pretty bulky but still hits really hard Mon. Roserade can be a lead, Sleep Powder, Toxic Spikes. It can also hit really hard with Leaf Storms and Sludge Bomb. Kofagrigus, really bulky defensive threat or Trick Room offensive threat. Kyurem, really bulky but really strong offensive presence. Scizor, very similar. U-Turn for momentum, great SD user. Regirock, great stealth rocker. Really bulky, but that's about it. And then Landorus, a great offensive Mon. Yeah, he's got a really threatening team. He's definitely running more bulky offense, I would say, but a little bit more on the offensive side. And it's really tough to prep for. I think I did a pretty good job last time, but there's some key changes I want to make this time around. So yeah, let's see what I did to our team. So the first Mon we've got is Raikou. Raikou was super useful in the last game. I took a look at our replay and asked myself, what did I think did really well, right? What performed as it was intended to, or even exceeded expectations? And Raikou was definitely one of those Mons. I'm bringing the exact same set. I liked the reason I had the speed creeping. I liked the extra little bit of bulk for leftovers. I liked just having enough special attack. Calm Mind was there for threatening. It didn't really do anything last time around, but it could be really helpful this time. I didn't want to run Substitute, and I wanted, that Bolt Beam coverage and momentum with Volt Switch. So, yeah, I'm really excited to bring Raikou back. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Similarly, we've got Toxapex again this week, and it's going to look very similar. It's the exact same moveset. The only thing different is the EV spread. I realized that last time I played Manou, I really only used Toxapex to take hits from Lopunny and maybe pivot in on some of his really bulky mons that weren't going to be doing any offensive damage anyways. And so, even without a lot of Spadef investment, it can still tank, one Draco Meteor or one hit to pivot to Scout, etc. But as a reliable switch-in, I'm going to want it more on the physical side. So I redistributed the EVs to allow myself to take, physical sided hits a lot better. I think the Spadef EVs there, I forget what they're for, but they're for a very specific calc. I know I think it's for Roserade. I think it might be for Roserade. Regardless, the Spadef EVs there are there for a reason. Trust me on that, as I am trusting my previous team building self. Next up, Porygon 2, the only change per se, the only new Pokemon from the last time we played. I realized that I needed more bulk, and I needed more reliable bulk. Last time I brought Scizor, but it wasn't able to actually do that much, either offensively or defensively. It wasn't quite bulky enough to help. And the thing is, now that I have Toxapex as more of a Lopunny switch-in, I don't need to worry about this Mon being as bulky for Lopunny. And I really realized that I did not have enough prep for his special offensive Mons. He's got a lot of specially offensive Mons that he just didn't bring, and I think that's going to be one of the differences, is this week he's going to bring stuff like Thundurus, he's going to bring stuff like Primarina, he's going to bring some specially offensive Mons that are going to try to break through. So I wanted some really good special bulk, and Porygon 2 is great for just that. Analytic for consistent damage, Bolt Beam coverage is really good against his team in general, Toxic is good for anything that Bolt Beam isn't, and then Recover for, of course, recovery. Next up is Bronzong. Yes, returning member, different moveset. It's Max Spadef because, yeah, I think he's going to bring more specially offensive Mons, and I wanted Bronzong for those Psyche type attacks, those Dragon type attacks, etc. Those normal type attacks, those Fairy type attacks, all of that good stuff. So that's why it's here. Gyro Ball is the only attack it has, because Gyro Ball honestly does pretty decent damage against most things on his team. I'm not running Toxic because honestly, Gyro Ball would do enough in the turns that, you know, Toxic would allow me to live and do passive damage over time. And given he has a Heal Belmon that he likes to bring, and he will probably bring against me, I just don't think Toxic will be as consistent damage. So yeah, Gyro Ball's the case. Stealth Rock is, you know, great against his team, so definitely going to try and get up those rocks at ASAP. And then Reflect and Light Screen. I noticed that last time I had a really difficult time you know, gauging what is he going to go for. Is he going to predict here? Is he going to go for the offensive move? And then having to backpedal after potentially making a wrong move. If I have Reflect or Light Screen up, I can do that so much more comfortably. I can live hit so much more easily. If I make a wrong hit, I can recover, right? Because I have stuff like Porygon 2 and Toxapex I can switch in that have reliable recovery. So that's kind of the rationale here. It'll ease my defensive prediction a lot. It'll make it more difficult for him to break through my team while still having to take hits from mine. And yeah. Next up is going to be Gliscor. Gliscor is returning from last week, similar to Toxapex. You know, it's identical set. The main difference is the EV distribution, and I switched out Toxic for Roost. Again, I realized I wasn't going to be Toxicing anything really with Gliscor. It's more so a pivot on a few Mons that aren't really even susceptible to getting Toxic, and anything I would Toxic, I would just rather Earthquake. That's just kind of what it comes down to. So yeah, the reliable recovery is helpful because it means I can switch in on these Mons more than once. Stuff like Scizor, stuff like Muck, stuff like potentially Lopunny if it doesn't have Ice Punch. And yeah, the EV spread is really specific. It's to outspeed Primarina and Muck. And the Spadef is there to live, what is it again? I think it's 2 Leaf Storms from Roserade. I feel like, no, maybe that was Toxapex. There's another really specific Spadef Calc that's 2 hits. I think it's Victini. I think I live 2 Searing Shots from Max Special Attack Victini. And then the defense, I had enough defense invested to live 2 Adamant Returns, and I had a bunch left over, and I just threw it more so in defense because I plan on using this thing for Scizor a lot and for Muck if he brings them, so can't help to have more defensive investment. And then lastly we have Garchomp. It's the exact same as last week. Honestly, I was getting pretty tired. I knew I wanted Garchomp for the offensive presence, and I know that he's going to suspect Yachi Berry now after having had, you know, our previous battle and having talked about it and everything. But honestly, I think this set was great, and I don't think I would want to do it any differently, especially if a light screen's up. You know, that's scary. I'm going to take one Yachi, each Hidden Power Ice, into another Hidden Power Ice behind a light screen. So yeah, Garchomp can definitely put in some work. Luckily, didn't have to last week, but maybe it'll play a bigger role this week. So that's the team. Like I said, Manou is a really solid player. I think this week he's going to bring more special offense and less passive of a team. So I'm going to need to play on point. As usual, I'm nervous, but I'm going into it thinking it should be a good match. We've already made it to the championship. It's been a good season. And yeah, hopefully we can finish it with one last win. But until that battle, this has been Night Zero, and this mission is complete.